Welcome. I will do a walkthrough for Module 4. This is going to be relatively quick, and so if you need to go back and review anything, you can slow it down, you can pause and go back, but I'm just going to do a pretty quick walkthrough. All of these instructions are on the GitHub page for the class. So the first thing I will do is start an interactive session, Hypergator Desktop. I recommend putting in 12 in the maximum memory requested, so that would be 12 gigabytes of RAM. If you have an account that is not the class account, so most of you do not, but if you have a different Hypergator account with a research lab, then you could specify the class account under account and QoS. And then I'm going to have 5 hours of time, which is going to be plenty for this. Click launch and wait. This will take anywhere from seconds to minutes to sometimes hours, but typically just under 10 seconds. Click launch. We get to our desktop. Now let's go to where the output from FreeSurfer are. So this is module 4. You would have needed to complete FreeSurfer processing in a previous module. So applications, terminal emulator, to get our command line. So I will go to our class drive. Blue Sci 4930 in this case, and then I will go to where my data are. Yours might be in this location, Blue Sci 4930 / and then your GatorLink ID. It could be under Share, Students, and then your GatorLink ID. Just go to wherever you have the data. So in my case, I will go into Share, and then I have a directory under Share. So again, you were probably one more directory down, or one more directory up, meaning you don't go into Share first. This is just where my data are. Within this location, I have a Module 3 folder. So I will go into Module 3, and then go into ADME bids, and then derivatives, and then FreeSurfer. So I didn't do ls after all of those. This is a path that I know, and if you had done the other kind of a module 3, if you had done the FreeSurfer processing under the previous one, then you should have a path like this. So within this location, there are the two participants that we process the brains. Now, for the next step for this module 4, I will need to make a directory. So I'm going to make a directory, and I will call this FSQC _out. You could call it whatever you want, but this would simplify the command. So this is going to be where the output of this next command is going to go. So that the command that we run is going to be long. So you could type it in, but it is over on the GitHub page. And so you could just copy that over and see if we can get this over and showing. So there's this apptainer run command. Let me just walk through it very quickly. So apptainer is the command. This is a software that will run something. So what it's going to run is it will first bind. So it will make your working directory. So PWD, I always kind of interpret this as your present working directory, just where you are right now. So it's print your working directory, but so where are you? So where you are right now, which in my case is in this derivatives FreeSurfer location. And that will go into the container as a directory called /in. Then I will also bind that new FSQC directory we made. That will go into the container. So the colon says take this on my current computer and pass it into the container as out. And then the container is in this location, Blue Sci 4930 Share Data NeuroTools FSQC.sif. That's the container. It could be in a different location in different semesters, but that's where it is when I'm recording this. And then we will call, this is going to use free surfer. So this will use the subjects directory, and it's going to set the subjects directory as in. So that's where we are now, this derivatives free surfer. I want to run this on 2 participants, 6303, 6367. You could specify, if you had a whole list, you could specify all of them. There's other ways to specify, but with 2, this is how we do it. I say the output directory is our out, again, which is free surfer FSQC out has been mapped as the out directory, and then these are other commands that will produce what we want. So you could type all of this. I recommend just copy and paste this. Now this only works if you are in the correct location, meaning you should not be in my folder, you should be in your directory, so within your free surfer output directory. But you can copy this and then go back over here to the Hypergear desktop, click on the little tab on the side, and then the second icon down is a clipboard. So I can paste in there. I'm going to right click and paste. And then I like to highlight it. You don't necessarily have to highlight, but I like to highlight all of the command. And then over here on the terminal, I will right click and paste. So now I have everything in there now, the command. And if you have the whole command, then we shouldn't get any errors. If you get any errors, it's likely that there is a typo somewhere, or you're in the wrong location. So double check your location. So this is ready to run, and this whole thing will take about 10 minutes, so I will pause the video and then we'll come back when it's done. Okay, this is finished now, and what this will produce is different files, but what you would submit, this is at the bottom of the GitHub page, is this will have a FSQC results HTML file, and then there will be a CSV file. And so these will be within that FSQC directory. So we can go within FSQC out, and there's this FSQC results and the FSQC results CSV files. So you can download those from over on this side. When you navigate to files, find that location on the class drive, you can download them and submit them. Well, let me just show you really fast what this looks like. So I'm going to use a browser. There's a built-in application here, kind of a web browser, so we can pull that up. Just to simplify things from my end, I'm going to use the Firefox browser. So we can module load Firefox. What I mean by simplify is rather than go on the file system to that location, I'm just going to use the command line. So this makes Firefox available. So I just type in Firefox, and then I can just do FSQC results HTML, hit enter, and this will load up that results file just to show you what it looks like. So we see the 2 subjects. Here is the free surfer segmentation, and it takes a little bit to load. And we can scroll down and see different outputs. So it does rendering of the 3D surface for the brains, kind of inflated brain, and more. So this is a file that you would submit. And then the other one is that CSV file. So we can read the contents of this file by using the CAT command. I'm just going to do that. This isn't the best way to do it, but just to show you, I can do CAT, and this will print to the screen as subject, and then this is a comma file, the CSV, the comma separated. And so white matter signal to noise ratio, and there's a value. So all these are things that we won't worry about what they mean, but these can all be used as a metric of the quality of the image, both kind of on the acquisition side, whether or not people were still in the scanner, all sorts of things like that. And these are data that can be useful potentially for research purposes. So that's the first part. So those two files, you can download those, submit them. You could do screenshots of this if you want. And then we're going to move on to the next step. So this is going to switch and use a different set of tools. So this is going to use something called CAT12. And this is within MATLAB, within other software called SPM12. And so this is going to be kind of a big switch in what we're doing. Before you run this, because of some changes with our file system this year, there are some challenges in using some of these tools. So what we're going to have you do is first create a copy. So you're going to copy these this SPM12 file. This is a zip file that has software that we'll be able to use, and then the CAT12. So follow these commands. These are over on the GitHub page, and I recommend just putting these in your core user directory. So this is going to make this blue Sci4930, and then your GatorLink ID. It will fill that in automatically, and then make a NeuroTools. So this should exist for you. Or if you have any problems making a directory there, put this somewhere else within your directory. So don't just put it randomly on in the class drive. Put it under blue Sci4930, shares, students, and then your GatorLink ID, NeuroTools. So some location that you are able to read and write to. And then you go into that location, and then you will copy from that new directory that you made. So you're going to go from there, but you're going to copy from blue Sci4930 share data NeuroTools. You will copy the SPM12 zip file, and then the dot at the end, there's a space, and then a dot. The dot just means copy that to your current location, and do that for both SPM12 and the CAT12 latest zip files. And then you unzip them, have SPM12 go into an SPM12 directory, CAT12 into CAT12 directory is what this is saying. It's going to unzip these files and put the SPM12 in SPM12 directory and CAT12 into something called CAT12. And then you will move that CAT12 directory into the SPM12 directory, and then into a toolbox folder, and then into a location called CAT12. So you can also do that manually. You can move this directory that's created, but if you follow these commands, again, this should work for most of you. If you already had a HyperGator account, then you don't necessarily have a directory here, and so you might need to be using under the share location, students, and all of that. But otherwise, if you follow this, that should work. And then we can go to the next step. So this is not going to use a FreeSurfer output. This is going to use just the raw input files that we put into FreeSurfer. So that's what this is talking about. So follow this. I'll walk you through it quickly. But again, all of the commands and the processes is here on the GitHub page. I'm going to pull this out of the way, and I'm going to pretend that I already did that SPM12, CAT12 unzipping. And why that is because I already have these directories working for me. Yeah, the software and all these directories set up, and I'm not going to do it again. But if you go through that, then what we're going to do is start a MATLAB session. And just to free up resources, I will end this HyperGator desktop session. So you can go this way. If it's been a little bit of time, I recommend refreshing this page, and then I can click delete and end it. You can just let it end whenever, but I'm going to just free up some resources. So now I'm going to start a MATLAB session. You can just pick it from the side here, or again, interactive apps, and drop down to MATLAB. So I'm going to use MATLAB 2024B, use 4 cores, and give this 24 gigabytes of RAM. The instructions say 6 cores, so 4, 6, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to do 4. That'll be plenty fast. And then account, put Sci 4930, and then under QoS, put Sci 4930-B. And that's just going to give it a little bit lower priority. So it will not, it won't start quite as quickly, but it also frees up resources for others. And then we'll say 8 hours. This will be plenty of time. It will not take that long. But that'll give a buffer. And then this should have default, so everything like this. So click launch and it'll go. I'm not going to click launch right now because I'm just going to use my personal account just to have it launch potentially a little bit faster. If you use the burst access, it can take, as I said earlier, seconds to minutes, even hours. It might approach kind of the minutes timeline if you're using the burst allocation. So again, just be patient and wait for it. Launch MATLAB, and then you will see a MATLAB screen. If you've never launched MATLAB before, that's okay. We'll walk you through everything. So this takes a little bit of time to load, and it'll get there eventually. So again, just be patient, wait, get a drink of water, stand up, whatever you need to do, and it should load pretty quickly. If it hasn't loaded after some time, then you might need to end it and try again. I'm just going to give this a little bit of time and then come back in a minute or two. If it hasn't loaded, I'm going to end it and start again. Okay, it did not load, so I went back to the interactive sessions. I clicked delete on the other one. I requested a new MATLAB session, all the same things that we had before, launched it, and this time it came up. Okay, so this is what MATLAB looks like. You'll have the main window. This is where commands would go. And then over on the left is where there's file structure. So one thing we can do is we want to get to where the data are. And so I'm just going to click up in this little box and type blue and then psi 4930. And then I'm going to keep going just to kind of keep some privacy of student IDs on here. But I have a directory within share and then within JJ Tanner. Okay. I'm trying to, again, keep this a little bit more private. And so this is where some of my input data are from module 3 from before. But what we really need to do is, the first thing you need to make sure is that this SPM12 software, like we have over here, this SPM12 with the CAT12 directory inside toolbox are available. So if you follow this set of instructions, you're almost ready to go. And so now we're down to this step 4, set it up. So click on set path, and then you navigate to the directory that has where that SPM12 folder is. So what that looks like is set path, and then you click on add folder, and then you will navigate to something like blue psi 4930, then your GatorLink ID, NeuroTools, and then SPM12. So my path looks a little bit different, so you do that and you'll add it. I'm not going to do that because I already have the software in a different location that I'm using. And so you do that, then you click save. You might get an error saving. It's gonna try to save this path definition, so you can ignore everything else in here. If you get an error, you just need to save it to some location you can write to. Again, what I recommend is when you save it in blue psi 4930, and then within your directory or within shared students, and then your directory in there. Or you could save it in home, your directory. But don't save it somewhere else. Save it in one of your subdirectories, meaning you should at least have your GatorLink ID on the end of some path after you click save. So I won't walk you through that. If you have problems with that, reach out to me. You would hit save first once you added the folder, and then hit close. If you did that correctly, you should be able to type in SPM12 lowercase, hit enter or return. So now this says unrecognized function or variable SPM12. Did you mean SPM? Okay. And so I did. And in this case, again, I wasn't looking at the instructions, but we like to show errors. That didn't recognize that. Did you mean SPM? I meant SPM. I hit enter, return. Now, if you get an error, it said unrecognized function, that means you did not set the path to SPM12. There was some problem with that. Go back to those instructions and try again. So now within here, we want to go to pet and VBM. Don't worry about what those mean for now. Initializing SPM, and this window will pop up. So not the nicest looking software in the world, but it is what it is. And then you can close this window. You don't have to, but you can. Under Toolbox, you should have CAT12. If you don't, then there was some problem with doing that, copying that zip file and extracting it and moving it to where it should be. Again, go back to the instructions and make sure it's where it should be. So you click on that, pop up, and this is going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to spend more time with the software later, but we're going to use this just to kind of do a quality check of some data, of the raw data. And so we go to segment, and we'll see this window. Don't worry about what most of the things are in here. Really, the only thing we want to do is click on volumes. And so I can double click on that, or I can click on specify. I'm going to double click here, and this comes up. So now this is where you would navigate to where your raw files are, not ones that are processed by FreeSurfer, but raw ones. So for me, I have these. So I had already gone to this location at the top of the window on MATLAB. If you remember, over here I had gone to where the data are. If you haven't done that yet, then you'd have to navigate to where it is. But again, blue sci 4930, and then find the data that would be for module 3. And then add any bids, and then we have the 2 participants. So you can add them from here, but what I recommend is just making a copy of these first. And so this is all in the instructions. That's over here. And so I'm kind of following it as it is, but what we want to do, again, I had skipped this step 2, file preparation in Hypergator. Again, I recommend going through this, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to put this in just to show you what that looks like. And I was kind of skipping to get through this quickly, but just walk through all of these. So how we would do that is not from the MATLAB side. So under applications, there's a little XFCE terminal. I will CD into our class drive, and then I'm going to go where my data are. So for my case, I'm under share and then my GatorLink. You might just be under Sci 4930 or share students and then your GatorLink. So you should not be in this location. You'll be a little bit different. And then module 3, and then I can hit double tab just to see what's in there. It's another way to look at it. Add any bids. So I'm hitting double tab, and then there's a derivatives folder, and then I'm going to go into that location. So within here, I'm going to make a new directory, mkdir. And let's call this CAT12. It could be lowercase, uppercase, whatever. But just be consistent. So CAT12. So now we have this new directory there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the files. So again, you could do this all from the files method. You can kind of navigate to where it are, the files are, make a directory, copy and paste. I'm going to do this on the command line. So where are the files that I want? So in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to copy, and so my files are going to be in this particular location. So I'm in this module 3 ADNI bids derivatives folder. The input files are up one level under ADNI bids. So I can go up one level. So cp space ... / and that would take me from where I am currently, from derivatives up to ADNI bids. So I'm in ADNI bids. I can hit tab, and I have sub 6303. So I want to copy 6303. I'm going to hit tab. There's a folder called session 01, inat, and then 6303 ses01 t1w dot nii.gc. So I'm going to copy that file. So that's what I was saying. Go up one directory, go down into sub 6303, go into sesh 01 inat, and then get this file. And now I want to copy that into my, not my current location, but within CAT12. So / is current directory, then in CAT12, and then put the / on the end. And what that will do is that's going to copy that file into the CAT12 subdirectory. So it looks a little complicated, but again, I'm saying copy and then give it the source. Here's where the file is, and here's where it should go. And then I'll do the same thing with the 6367 file. But because I know what it's called, I can scroll through the line. Again, you can't point click, you have to use the arrow keys. And I should get this. Now, if you get an error, then there's an error in the path. But that's going to go up a level, go into 6367. The directory structure is the same, and then there's the file, and that copies it. So now I have a copy of both of those files within that location. So that worked. I can close this window now, and then I can go into derivatives, this CAT12 folder. I can shift click both of these. They should disappear within that window and show up down here. So it found both of those files. I can hit done, and everything's ready to go. Now you don't have to make any more changes. In the instructions, it has you go down and change this from a no to a yes. So that's just all single clicking. In that case, you don't have to do that, but I'll just do that. So that has both files. Again, if you want to just verify 2 files, this says it's going to split it into 4 separate processes just because I had requested 4 cores. In the instruction on GitHub, it said 6. If you had done 6, that should say 6 there. And then this is ready to go, and hit run. Now I'm going to end the video there. These will take about an hour to run. And but I'm going to end the video and not show the output. I just want to show you that on the window it says it's processing, running job 1, running job 2, so they've both started successfully. And there's a pop-up. But I'll end this video. I won't show you the outputs, all that, but when it's done, again, you should have a there should be 2 JPEG or PDF files in that CAT12 directory, and those will be what you use. And then you can move on to the next step. There's a walkthrough video of that already, although dated from a previous semester.